Thanks for tuning in to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Here you'll find tips, insight, and information to help your music and your ministry succeed. Whether you're a singer, a musician, or a songwriter, we want to help you where you are, but we also want to help you get to where you want to go. We believe that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with those are our gift back to God. Yesterday's information is important, but what we can learn today will make this the best day yet. Hey everybody, Rob Novell here with the CNS podcast, The Best Day Yet. Thanks again for tuning in today. Man, your time is valuable, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to tune in and listen and hopefully get some information that you can apply to your life and your music and your ministry to make you more effective at what you do. Hey, I just want to remind you, CNS 23 is coming up, and we're seeing great amounts of registrations coming in, and some of our instructors, their private lesson schedules are filling up. So if you do have a specific instructor you want to work with this summer, we need to hear from you. So you know how to find us, www.cnsmusic.com, and you can register for our next summer national session right there. Okay, so man, we have a special guest with us today, and I met this guy here recently and was just honestly so blown away with what he has to offer and what God has called him into doing. That, man, I just really, I asked him when we were talking if I could get with him and if we could make this a subject of a podcast, and just super excited to have Devin Ramon with us today. Devin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here and doing this.
Well, man, it's an honor to have you. Like I said, when we got to talk a week or so ago, I was just really impressed with what you're doing. And you know, full disclosure, I'll mention here what I told you on the phone when you started talking about some of the artists that you've worked with. And we'll save that name for later. But I told you on the phone that my eye was caught by some of your work back in December, and maybe even earlier than that, probably late November-ish.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that here in a minute, because I that's our money ball. I want to save.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I would have saved that one, but man, you've got a photography business, Devin Ramon Photography. You're in Michigan, right?
Yes, Bay City.
Bay City, Michigan. You know what? We have a student that attended CNS for years and years in Bay City, and I actually ministered there at their church in Bay City, I don't know, maybe 4 years or so ago. Do you know of Vicky?
Yes.
Do you know
yes.
Vicky?
Yep. I went to her church, Harvest Baptist. And when I was traveling with the group I was with early on, that's another way that I came to meet her, and we did concerts with her. She's great.
Awesome. Oh, she's so amazing. And
she
you know,
is.
just a quick praise report there. That's not why we're talking, but it just encouraged people. You know what? Isaiah doesn't say if and when we go through floods and fires. It says when. And God's going to be there to sustain us and get us through. And I got the coolest message on Facebook, and then a phone call a week or two ago. Vicky's back into singing, and she's really planning and trying to work it out to be with us for CNS 23, and just an amazing woman. Okay, so you're in Bay City, Michigan, and so this is a subject near and dear to my heart, because at CNS, you know, 2 Timothy says, "Study to show thyself approved." And man, we try. If you had the opportunity to meet my dad loved God and he loved God's people, but he was very adamant about God did so much for us in the area of excellence. And we just came off of Easter season, and you know, at any point he could have quit, but he didn't. He gave us his best. He gave us his best, and he's asking for so little in return. But I think at times in Christian music, we tend to fall a little short in that area of offering him our best. And So, man, I want to give you the floor. Talk about the importance of photography. Man, it's just real simple, but
Yes.
I'm ready to listen. I've got a pen and
Yeah.
paper. I'm going to take notes. So talk to us just simply about how important photography is to these people in their ministries.
Yeah. So, we've talked about before about, there are photographers out there who you can find that will do a quick session for you where you can find them and they will do like 3 or 4 quick photos for you. And honestly, that's all you need. And sometimes financially, it's just not there for Southern gospel artists, and that's okay. But that's why you can find a photographer that can do 3 or 4 quick, really good photos for you, that you can use one of the good photos as your Facebook cover photo. You can use another one as your profile photo, and then you can have one that you use on your website and one that you just send to every promoter that wants to put your photo on a banner, on an announcement of any kind. Because I've always said that you can't be a circle in a pile of circles and expect anyone to notice you. It's once you start changing your shape that people take notice to you.
That's
So
good.
if you're someone who is taking that extra step to make sure you have a couple good photos, you're already setting yourself apart right there, because that's not happening as often as it should in the gospel music industry. So you're already setting yourself apart there. And you have great photos to use on your CDs and album covers. That is so important too, because if you just have a cell phone selfie or a screen grab from, someone came to your concert and they recorded the whole thing and you just screenshotted that and you're using that as your cover album, that's a no-go. Have a great photo on the cover of your album so that way when it's sitting on your table, it looks really good and it's going to draw people over to you. And while we're talking about the product table, banners that artists have set up behind their tables, those photos, if you're going to have one on your banner, are super important too. I always recommend a good high quality photo, and one that you are smiling in and you look happy. If you're a soloist, you want a big, happy photo of you up there. And if you're in a group, all of you should be smiling, because that is the first thing that people see when they walk into the concert typically is your
Absolutely.
giant photo. And if you're serious, if you have a straight face, if you look angry, that's not inviting, that's not welcoming, and it's not going to call people over to look at your merch or to talk to you or anything like that. That's not the message that you want to give. So I always recommend, in this industry, the happier you look, the more inviting you look. That's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to invite people to your page, to your product table, whatever you want them to be at.
As far as that live performance at that church, you know, we tend to stereotypically set up in the lobby, right inside
Mm-hmm.
the doors, and so we say it this way: literally, they see you before they hear you.
Yes.
So
Yep.
your product table is making that first impression.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when they come on in there, I mean, we have to deal with some of the norms already. Um, I go out, I minister, I like to do 3 songs and then greet the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a normal to look out there and those people are looking at you like, bless me if you can.
Yes.
Who
Yep.
is it? Who is this guy? Why is something different today? And what time are we going to be done so I can beat
Yes.
the other church to the cafeteria? So,
Yep.
I think you can help set that welcome, inviting tone if you are putting a little attention to photos, because you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Every aspect of what you talked about, from product to a banner behind, or even a vertical pop-up banner 3 foot
Mm-hmm.
wide, you are introducing yourself through that to those artists. When if you specifically know you're shooting for, say, a CD cover,
Mm-hmm.
uh, do you um I've never asked a photographer this question. Are you envisioning room for title, room for artist name? Are you trying to work that into the photo shoot?
Yes. So when I first started working with artists and like doing photos like that for them, I did not. and then whoever the graphic designer was, I'd get a message from them being like, do you have any photos that are wider angles or like have more room on the sides or the tops or both? And now, yes, I make sure that the group photo I give them a couple group photos that there is plenty of room on the sides and plenty on the top and bottom. That way there's room to work with that on however they choose to work with that on the album.
Yeah, I think little things like that, if we think ahead, my dad taught me the carpenter's rule, measure twice, cut once.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, a, a, a funny story, technology's brought us to the point where, literally you're seeing the photos as you snap them.
Yes.
Didn't used to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
My dad produced for years, and back in the 70s, they would get a little tiny inch by inch or negative to
Mm-hmm.
hold up to a light, and that's how they proof things. And
Yep.
they they there was a quartet, and the quartet was four guys and a piano player, so five guys in the picture.
Uh-huh.
They were stair step down this hill beside a little pond,
Oh, okay.
and they looked through, and everything looked proportioned and good in that little negative. And when 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 Dad went to pick up the 1,000 albums that they ordered,
Mm-hmm.
he busted that box open, and the guy at the bottom of the line forgot to dispose of his cigarette, and
Oh,
it's just,
oh no.
when you go from an inch by inch negative to a full about 12 by 12 album, um, that cigarette
Yes.
became larger than life. So side note, get rid of your sick. No, it is what
Well,
it is in that case.
and people don't understand either that, having things in your pocket like a cell phone or a wallet, get them out of your pockets. Don't have them on you.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I am skilled enough at Photoshop to where I've had to replace people's legs to get rid of, all kinds of things. I have a video actually of a group that I worked with where I had them walk towards me as I was snapping the photo, and one of the guys was way too far off to the right, so it looked like it was a trio and just some random guy walking
Right.
with them.
Right.
And I totally had to cut him out and paste him closer to them and totally erase where he was. And I'm like, if I didn't know how to do that, some of
There
these
you go.
pictures would be awkward.
There you go. And so listen, if you're listening to this, yes, that's capable of being done. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what? You're probably going to get a little bit of added bill
Yes.
for editing and a little bit of extra work that needs to be done. So man, it's sometimes it can be common sense as far as you're right, removing that pair of glasses that's hanging in the
Mm-hmm.
center of your collar, and
Yes. Yep.
those reading glasses, and just odds and ends, little pins in the pocket, and things that you don't think of. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily the photographer's job to catch all that.
Mm-hmm.
They're focused, they're thinking. Who knows what kind of equipment issues they had with their lighting 20 minutes before you showed up, and where they are mentally, right? So
Yeah, and artists will always say, like the devil's in the sound system because that's always like the
right,
first thing during a ministry concert that's gonna go. I feel like that for photographers, but
right,
it's in our lighting and our equipment, it's in our
absolutely.
memory cards. It's just, yeah.
Absolutely, things happen, and I think if the artist can try to eliminate, part of what we do at CNS, we really encourage remove the excuses,
Hmm.
and that's in your practice time, that's in your performance, and that's
Hmm.
in this area, and your promotion of your ministry. So um uh, you're a professional photographer, so I know your take on this, but I tell people all the time in the recording, I produce and do full projects for people. And a lot of times I tell them your project's going to be as good as your photo.
Hmm.
And and obviously cell phones have come a long way,
Yes. Yep.
but there's still a huge difference in the cameras we're carrying around in our pocket versus the quality of equipment that a guy like
Yes.
yourself has. So,
Yeah.
you get what you pay for.
Yes.
As a musician, my very first bass guitar, my mom and dad bought me, it was out of the Sears catalog.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they probably paid a whopping $59 for my guitar and the amp.
Yep.
And, when I was 8 years old, uh,
That was a big deal.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But so as a teacher, I tell my students' parents when they ask what kind, he says he needs this guitar. And no, he doesn't need that guitar right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You kind of work yourself in, and you don't start with a $2,000 guitar. You
Right.
work your way there, but you do get what you pay for. So, man, I would like to discourage as many of you as possible to avoid um, avoid the easy way out, and that's just
Yes.
to hand somebody your phone and say, "Hey, we're going to stand still real quick. Will you snap this picture?"
Yes. And I think there's also something to be said about, I believe that, God will bless those who are also putting in the work. Because I've always believed, like, if you're someone who is an artist and you're praying for, okay, God, give me the finances to hire a photographer, or, to scratch that, to further my ministry, but you're not putting in the effort.
Right.
You're just waiting for him to provide. He'll provide it, but I also think that there's something to be said about you putting in the effort and working towards that too. So if you're praying about it and you're seeking, you're knocking, you're gonna find he's gonna provide for you. And another thing is the photos from actual concerts, like when artists have somebody that's taking photos of the audience that's there while they're singing.
Right.
That is a huge I'm not sure how to say it, but a that can help you get more concerts, or it can help you not get concerts.
Oh, absolutely.
Um and I've learned throughout the years, and after traveling with artists that we're going to talk about later, there is easy ways to get great concert photos, even from your cell phone, or low quality photos.
Right.
And if you don't have good photos from your concerts, and it looks like you're sitting in a 15-row auditorium, but maybe only the first 5 or 6 rows are filled, but you're standing at the very last row, and you're getting 10 rows of empty people and
Empty
five
seats.
rows.
Right.
You don't have to do that. There are ways to avoid getting those empty rows and seats in there, and you can get photos of the people who are there enjoying themselves and the looks on their faces and all the good stuff.
And
And
that's
go,
perception. I mean,
yes,
if people see 10 empty rows and you're trying to use that picture to get booked somewhere, uh,
yes.
that doesn't look like a good draw, you know.
Right. And yeah, and it's like, I'm not saying that as in, like it's lying. It's not. It's
No,
just making do with what you have. And
absolutely.
you can have a 15-row auditorium and have two people there, but if you get great two photo or if you get great photos of those two people, you might have six promoters that reach out to you. It's
Absolutely.
the way you do it.
Man, it's you just said, the key thing, making use with what you have. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to be good stewards of what God gives us. And,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we can't afford, literally, both in experience and convenience, and then financially, to have Devin, Ramon traveling with us,
Mm-hmm.
capturing every bit of our journey, and recording through photos our ministry. So
Yeah.
when we're in those places where we are in control, I just, again, it's thinking things through, and it's trying to
Yes.
work from a place. Okay, so let's talk about some of those artists. I know
Yeah.
you've done some work for his songs. You've
Yep.
done some things for Divinity Trio,
Mm-hmm.
Justified, but the one that I alluded to earlier, uh, I remember, again, I think it was more back at the end of November. Um, I started seeing these just crazy good photos online of a Christmas tour by the
Mm-hmm.
Ball Brothers.
Yes.
And man, I don't know those guys as well as I know some other groups, but in the time that I've been around them and watching them, and as a fan, I honestly, I probably have more of their music as a quartet on my phone than
Mm-hmm.
any other
Yeah.
quartet. And I'm a
Yep.
quartet guy. I love quartet
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
But there's just a level of excellence that they work from. And
Yes.
so I started seeing all these pictures. And then when we talked a couple weeks ago, I found out that you were the photographer. And
Yes.
so you probably wanted to touch on that a while ago when you were talking about how to stage, some of those
Mm-hmm.
pictures and how to capture certain things. And so let's talk a little bit. Nothing against Justified or Divinity,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
hey, let's talk. We called it the
Yeah.
Money Ball. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
Ball
Yep.
Brothers for a minute.
Yeah.
First off, how did that connection come about?
So I had traveled with Justified for a few years
Okay.
and we did a concert in 2016 with the Ball Brothers here at the State Theater in Bay City. And that was the first time that I had met them and I fell in love with their music. Anytime we were going to be in concert with another group, I would always research their music, listen to it, get to know it. That way, conversations can come up. I can talk to them stuff. But I fell in love with their music, before the concert, and then just all the detail oriented ways that they work and perform and
Right.
sing. It was just mind blowing to me. And then I connected with each of them, added them on Facebook, and so that was 2016. So then, like, we were acquaintances, just in the industry, Facebook friends after that. And then a couple times throughout the years, Daniel and I had either messaged each other on Facebook, not often, but just, a couple times. And I had talked to him on the phone about, if there was any opportunities about social media stuff out there that he could send my way. Um, and I think it was 2017 or 2018. I was in college at the time, and I had saw them post about their Christmas tour they were doing that year, and they were looking for somebody. They were hiring an intern that could help them with social media, photography, and all that stuff. And I reached out to them, but I found out that they were leaving for their tour a week before my semester ended at college,
Ah,
so I wasn't able to go. And then flash forward to 2022, in the summertime, I saw them post about the Christmas tour. So I commented on there and said, "Hey, do you guys happen to need a photographer or a media guy?" And Daniel commented back, and he said, maybe. He said, "Let's chat about it." So I messaged him, and he said, "Well, we're going to be in Sebring, Michigan, which is about 30 minutes from where I live. We're going to be there in August, at a music convention that's happening there. Why don't we meet up then? We'll talk about it and we'll see where it goes." I met up with him and we talked for a while together, and he was like, "Let's do it." He's like, "I don't have to worry about you experiencing road life for the first time. You've lived it, you've done it, you know what to expect, so we won't have to worry about you backing out 2 weeks into the tour or anything like that." He's like, "I've seen your work, it's good, you know what you're doing, that's what we need." And he's like, "Let's do it." So flash forward to November of last year. They flew me out the week before Thanksgiving, and that's when the first week of the tour started. We did that whole week of the tour. Then we were home for the week of Thanksgiving, and they flew me out the weekend. I think Thanksgiving was on a Thursday or Friday. They flew me out that weekend, and we did the whole month of December almost. We were gone.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was crazy.
Awesome. So, relationship connection.
Hmm.
That's how a lot of doors open, and that's not today's conversation, but wow, that's a whole topic within itself. Okay, so now let's fast forward. You're there, you're on that tour, you're
Hmm.
putting stuff out, and you know what? Let's do this because I know this is another area that you specialize in. And let me just say this at this point. If you're in Michigan and you have a ministry and you need photography, you need to get in touch with Devin and
Hmm.
meet up with him, have Devin do your photography. If you've got a homecoming or an event
Hmm.
taking place, a weekend event, man,
Yeah.
reach out to Devin, see if you can hire him to come in and capture that event, you will not at all be disappointed in what he does for you. So that's that. But I let's maybe
Thank
start.
you for that, by the way.
Hey,
Thank you.
no problem at all, man. I again, I I believe in pushing quality, and everything that I've seen is definitely that. So let's kind of move into social media because two things there. I know this is an area near and dear to you, and you even talked on that with the
Mhm.
connection with the Ball brothers. And
Yeah.
when we get to this area, um, man, nobody needs to be in Michigan to connect with you. This day and age, I know people listen to this podcast in Texas and Arkansas and Colorado and Florida, and distance at this day and age in this next topic that we're going to talk, social media, doesn't really matter. So
Right.
let's get into social media, and we've alluded to the quality of photos and the different things. I do if you will touch on this with the photos you did on that Christmas tour for the Ball brothers.
Yeah.
So some of the things that you captured intently for promotional social media marketing, that end of things. Talk a little bit about that, and then let's get into the social media side of things.
Yeah. Okay. So first I want to point out that when I was on that tour with them, I didn't handle their social media on that
Okay,
tour. So I wasn't responsible for doing that stuff. I was just responsible for capturing the
gotcha.
photos, and documenting and content and stuff like that. But yeah, when before the tour and on the tour, so another thing to touch on, that was like the most intense traveling that I had ever done, or working with an artist. That was the most intense experience I've had, only because that was, I think, on the tour, I think we were traveling for like 20 something days before we had a day off. So in a row, and it was just
Right.
like nonstop and hustle. But Daniel was really good about like, this is what we want, this is what we put out, and this is what our audience is going to expect. And he was like, don't do this, don't do this, do this, and great. And they were all really, really good about that. So I learned a lot on that tour, and I got to practice. I just got to exercise my skills.
Right.
But a big thing that they made sure that I captured every night was, for one, audience, like wide angles of the audience, so as many people in the audience as I could get in the photo, and especially if they were performing in the photo, all that cool stuff. And I made sure that I was getting pictures of the audience, engaging with them, because Daniel would come down from the stage with a shovel full of fake snow, and he would hand it out to the audience. So I made sure I was getting moments like that. I was getting moments of them making the crowd laugh. And a lot of people have talked to me about those photos that they saw, and they're like, well, we don't have all the lights, we don't have
Right.
the LED
All
screen, we
that
don't have fog.
production.
That's fine.
Right.
You can still get great moments from your concerts without all that stuff. But they made sure, group shots. And a big thing is, don't get the aisleways in your photos, because if you're singing in a church that has, three sections, a middle section and a left and right section, there's at least, there's one aisle to the left of the middle, and there's one aisle to the right of the middle. Don't get those in your photos. Stand off in the corner of one of the sections and get like diagonally across, because when you eliminate that aisle, that's taking out the negative space
Mm,
that's there and that you otherwise can't avoid. So avoid that negative space by getting a diagonal shot, and it's going to make it look like there's no negative space there, which the
more
eye is
people.
always drawn to negative space.
Right.
So, it doesn't matter if you have a packed out audience or five people at your concert, avoid the negative space, because your eye is always drawn to it.
That's good. Again, all the more reason if you've got an event coming up to get in touch with Devin, because he knows what he's doing. We say at CNS all the time: ask the right people the right questions to get the right answer. He's the right guy when it comes to photography here. Okay, social media. Oh gosh, it's 2023. First question: how important is social media to a ministry?
So that is a loaded question, because there's so much that I could talk about with it. But
Right.
to sum it up, it is the biggest free resource you have and the biggest resource you have to reach the most people.
Hmm.
Let's say that you are doing singing at the biggest event out there and it's 50,000 people, 100,000 people. Your social media content has the potential to reach hundreds of thousands of people. So if you're at an event, you're singing to those 100,000s, it's not going to go beyond there. But your content you post on social media can reach hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Like
Right.
that's insane to me. And to be able to do it for free. You can pay for ads, you can pay to boost your post, but organically, you can reap such great results organically, and organically means without paying to have
Right.
it advertised or pushed.
Right.
So
Uh,
it's incredible.
w- um, you know, I'm 53, so
Hmm.
I'm part of the old group on Facebook. Um, other medias. Where
Hmm.
should people be um, focusing their time?
Yeah, so that's also a great question. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Right now, YouTube has always been big. They always will be. They're never going to go away. They're just going to continue to grow.
Right.
Actually, I just read or heard a statistic that I think it's uh, so YouTube Shorts, YouTube just came out with within the last year or so, and that's how they're competing with TikTok and Instagram Reels.
Okay.
And it's short form content, which means it's videos that are 15 seconds long, 30 seconds long, a minute long, and they're vertical, so up and down, and they take up the most screen real estate on your phone. And I think the statistic that I heard was there are 50 billion shorts views happening daily on YouTube right now.
Wow. Wow.
50 billion views on shorts daily. And I think there's 1.2 billion active users. I think it was daily maybe on YouTube or something like that. And then like 2 billion active monthly users on YouTube. So right now, YouTube is a huge
Right.
avenue that you should be taking advantage of or traveling down that road. And there's a lot of conflicting news going on with TikTok right now. You know, it might be
Right.
banned, it
Right.
might not. Who knows what's going to happen with it? But it's here. It's still
Sure.
usable. So keep using it until they delete it, and there's no option to use it. Same with Instagram. They are constantly rolling out new incentives to use their apps to create on their app. And Facebook, I struggle with. I'm pretty sure any social media person will tell you that Facebook is like the least favorite
Right.
for us social media managers to use, just because we know the logistics of it. But they also have reels on Facebook and videos that you can post. Photos are still just as important too. So post photos, post videos, use your stories on your Facebook and Instagram. They're so important. And when I work with clients, I teach them how to use Facebook and Instagram stories to get the most benefit from them, how to use in feed posts, whether it's photos or videos, to get the most benefits from there, and how to use reels and TikToks and shorts and all that to get the most benefit from them. Because you think you know a lot about social media until you talk to someone who does know a lot about
Right.
it,
Right.
and you're like, I was using it all wrong.
Right.
And then when you start using it right, your numbers are going to shoot right up, and promoters are going to reach out to you, and member or page followers are going to start engaging with you more.
So here's the perfect thing. And man, we could keep talking this, but we're gonna wrap up here shortly because um I told you when we talked the other day, I know just enough to be dangerous, and
Hmm.
I'm got a little bit of bulldog tenacity in me. I'll latch onto something. So
Hmm.
I try to post as frequently and as I can, and we've seen great results from
Hmm.
honestly what little bit I'm doing through CNS,
Yeah.
and what I would love for you to share here at the end is I know you do some different levels of consultation and help
Hmm.
with
Yes.
artists with their social media. So um, maybe just briefly mention from small to tall some
Mhm.
options that could be there. And then the big one is how people, Devin, could get in touch with you
Okay.
to help them with their ministries. I know we all have this human nature. We're all vigilantes. We all want to
Yes.
handle things, but it gets to a certain point where, you know what, if you truly want different results, you need to start looking at how you approach things and make some changes. And I like to say it this way: change is inevitable, but growth is
Hmm.
optional. It's
Yes.
optional.
Yep.
Things
Yep.
are going to
That's true.
constantly change, and that's where I am personally, and I shared a little bit,
Hmm.
and you and I still will talk, but
Yeah.
it's hard for me to keep up with all of the changes. So small
Yeah.
to tall, what could you offer people with social media, and then before we wrap up, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay. So small to tall. First I want to say that like I got into social media management and consulting because I wish that I could sing and have a ministry, but I can't. I just cannot. I'm not a good singer. So this is my form of how I can help other ministries,
Right.
advance the kingdom, reach as many people as possible with the good word, the good news, all that stuff. And so I try to offer options that work for the artist, whatever their financial situation is or whatever their just availability is. So small would be I can consult with you, where you can pay to have me on a retainer, where you still do everything yourself, but you can call me up or you can text me and ask me questions and say, hey, what should we do for this? Or is this okay? Or did you notice this when we posted it? Like, a retainer basically. Um, or I guess medium would be coaching, social media coaching, to where you can hire me to coach you on how the best practices for your social media, and just educate you. That way you can do things yourself. Or there's the off your plate method where you can hire me to manage your social media for you, and um, I can create content for you and post it. I can optimize all your social media accounts for you. And I can keep audience engaged and all that stuff. And people are always like, well, we don't want to hire you to do our social media management because you're not with us. Well, that's okay. There are ways around that. I can give you a whole list of content ideas that are so easy for you to do on your own, where
Right.
you just have to record the video or take the photos and send it to me. I'll edit it. I'll take care of the rest for you. Or there is the option of if you want me to travel with you for a weekend of concerts and get the content for you so I can post it and recycle it and reuse it other places. That's an option too. So there's options for what you can afford or what your availability is or just what you're looking for.
Right.
Um, yeah, and then the best ways to find me, contact me, reach me would be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. And on Instagram, you can follow me at official Devin Ramon. That's DevinRamon. And Facebook is just Devin Ramon. That's my personal page where I'm a content creator. You can reach me there, and you can follow my page on Facebook called Ramon Media, and that's a good way to contact me too. So
Awesome.
that's yeah.
And obviously, y'all, Devin's name is in the heading of today's episode and in the description underneath the podcast. So, if you didn't get to jot that down, obviously you can rewind it and jot it down. But
Hmm.
find him and get in touch with him and see how in this area of social media he can help you literally take your ministry to the next level. I think it's vitally important that I, I like to say it this way, Devin. I think we should constantly be looking to change the method without changing the message. And
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
we've got to stay current. We've got to stay up on things
Yeah.
and be willing. Change is not a good word for Rob. I don't like that word,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Me. Same here. Same
whew,
here.
2020, put me in that position where I had to realize again, it was inevitable. But if I chose to grow through that, and CNS did, And man, I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
So much great content in today's podcast, and reach out to Devin for your photography needs, for your social media. And I promise you, if you do, the end result will make this your best day yet. You all be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the name the Charles Novell School of Music. And for more information on CNS and our upcoming events, like our online school, our weekend regional sessions, our creative coaching, and our pastor's retreat, you can visit us at our website at www.cnsmusic.com. As you've listened to this episode, we hope that you've gained some information that you can apply to your music and to your ministry to make today the best day yet.